It's about the cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we said this is. We says in we're holding Likutei Halachos Nefilas Apaim Halacha Daled. We're holding Basif Chafalef. So he said that conglomeration of Yom V'Layla, of sun and the moon, the Redifa and the Me'akev, is that Nikuda of Chatzos Laila. Chatzos Laila is when the first, when the day and the night meet Kiviyachol. This is the Redifa and the Me'akev together and enables you to reach the Mate V'lo Mate. And this alludes to the point that it says, there will come a day when the human comprehension will become so high, so sophisticated, and so deep, that day and night will become one. This is the Nefuah, V'hu yom echad yivod el Hashem, lo yom v'lo layla. At nightfall there will be light. So that light and the day and night will come together. V'zeu vayal es erev ye'or, and at nightfall there will be light. The main perception of the light, or Ein Sof, that's the infinite light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it is dafka through these two principles, negating principles of moving and holding back. So the main asoga is dafka through the Masada and Ma'akiv. Obviously without the Redifa nothing happens. No propulsion, you ain't moving. But to be masik dafka or Ein Sof is only the most important element here, and the most difficult element to perfect is dafka, this the miyasim, the Masada and the Ma'akiv, that restraining principle, which is the Ma'akiv. Shu b'chinas choshech, it is dafka the choshech, dafka the darkness, that enables the light to be discerned. B'chinas yoshes choshech sisroi, the Kadosh Baruch Hu puts his hidden treasures in the darkness. Shezeh choshech ulamala mikol ha'oros. That darkness is way beyond all the lights that we can perceive. Ki al dei zeh masigin or Ein Sof kanal. I keep on giving this dogma again, and we say it is only through the constriction, through the tzimtzum, that we're able to understand the light. When I gave this dogma of you're in a plane and you're going through a cloud, and the landing lights are shining through, you don't see them in the clear air, but when you're going through the cloud, you can see the beam very well defined by the particles of the cloud. So the cloud is actually gesundheit. The cloud represents the media that allows the light to be discerned, that allows the message to be discerned. Unless you have darkness, it is, you cannot get the message. When you look at the Sefer, you look at a book, okay? The thing that enables you to understand what the author is trying to tell you is the black.
The letters, I mean.
Yes.
Black and white.
It's the black. The white, which represents the idea, is the white contains everything, all the possible knowledge. Okay?
But if there's not the black.
But if there's the black says no, it's dafka aleph, and then dafka base, and dafka aleph, okay, the word abba, okay, you want to say daddy. Okay, it is the constriction that allows you, that makes sense out of the, because it constricts the light and makes it possible. It is dafka the me'akev, the tzimtzum, that allows you to learn, to comprehend, to masik or ensof. Or ensof is like a white page. There's no way that you can possibly get anything from it without any tzimtzum. So that's choshech lemala mikol ha'oros, because that choshech is the thing that enables you to get or ensof. V'zeu vayal es erev or. It is dafka says when it'll be night time. That's the media upon which everything is written. That's the thing that makes everything possible. Or there will be light. The main thing that enables you to be masig, a saga which is literally and basically beyond human comprehension, because we understand through definition that which we can define, that which we can call with words, which can be defined with words, we can understand. But that which you don't have words for, you can't understand. The Briskov used to say, if you can't explain it, you don't understand it. He says, choser behesber, choser behavana. He says that if you're trying to explain a certain, you got something. He
doesn't know the vocabulary. He doesn't know the word. He understands it.
No. It says you can understand if the words do not come to you. According to this, obviously, I was like, what do you understand? I mean, it's not we're talking about normal people that speak normally. We're not talking about somebody who is mute, who understands that somebody is chasing him. Okay, we're not talking about that. Okay, I says, but we're talking about normal people that learn normal inyanim. It says, if you cannot explain a sugya in the Gemara, it says, okay, explain to me what you said. I got it. Okay, explain it to me. You can't explain it means you didn't really get it. You got some of it. You got a certain aspect of it, but you don't really have it. Because if you really understand it, you can explain it. What does it mean? Because it's defined. It's well defined by you. So you can describe what it is that you understand. If you can't describe what you understand, you don't really understand. Because our understanding is through definition. That's how human beings understand. When you're talking about the saga of the Teis Eichalos of Or Ensof, you're talking about a comprehension of the undefinable. Per definition, you cannot define it. It is indivisible. It is undifferentiated. It's not broken down to details. You're talking about reading a blank page. The ability to get and not get what's written on a blank page, kaviyachol. This is a sagas ensof. That is daf katoli in choshech, night. A strong establishment of the ma'akev. It is very easy to learn Chassidus and just fly off the handle. This means this and this means that, and it's because of this and it's because of that, and it's nicht geflogen, nicht geflogen, gut nicht mit nicht. But you're allowed to do that. The Rebbe said, that you can dash in this Torah any which way you want. But the main thing, the most important thing to acquire when you're learning Torah Sabbeinu is the discipline. Not to run off with your mind, not to run off with, I got a really creative thing to say about that. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's Baruch Hashem, it's a highly gazach. But if you want to get to Or Ensof, in other words, you really want to get the Das of HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachol, Chasmati v'lo mati, which means this is the emes, which is clean and pure from any kind of medama, any kind of imagination, any kind of wishful, it could be so beautiful if we can just, to clean it out and become, cut and dry, so to speak. The cut and dry has to over time overrule the surge and the need and the quest for creativity and for brilliance and for everything else. That's the most important thing. Once you have it, adaba, the more creative you are, the better. But creativity without unbridled creativity is irrelevant. It gets to places, fascinating places. I mean, like whoa. But I have nothing to do with Or Ein Sof. Ikar Asagas Ein Sof is Suda Me'akev, Shua Mesadav Miyashem, B'chinas Choshech HaElyon. That's the supernal darkness. The same thing was also in Seder HaBriah. This is how the world was created. First came the darkness, and then came the light. First of all, there was darkness, and then there was light. Says the Zohar. And this is in Shabbos, actually. The Gemara says that first darkness and then light. It is not possible to perceive the light unless there's darkness. It's not possible to actually discern the true light unless you have the discipline. When is the light actually beneficial? When it emanates from the choshech. This says, I see the advantage of the chokhmah, from the sichlis, you see, the chokhmah is better than stupidity, like light is better than darkness. That's the pshat of Koheles. But basically what it means is, when do you see the chokhmah? When it comes out of sichlos, when it comes out of a ma'akev. When do you see how precious the light is? When you're coming out of darkness. If you live all your life in the light, it doesn't do anything. Somebody was born rich. It doesn't know the value of money. It doesn't know the value of work. The value of money is only when it comes out of not having money and having to work for the money. And that's me'akev, then the Yisranach, Chochem min Yisranach or min HaChoshech. Ki kol ha'oros nimshachin me'or Ein Sof. All the lights, they are derivatives of Or Ein Sof, of this impossible to get Or Ein Sof. The only way to be masigit is dafka through the darkness. The void of any knowledge. That's why we say anything which is above your comprehension, that as far as you're concerned is part of Ulamas Ein Sof. It's when you're saying, okay, what do you say about Kabbalah? Says, I'm in the dark as far as this is concerned. In other words, I have no idea, right? So we say anything which belongs to Ulamas Ein Sof is considered darkness for you. You're in the dark as far as this is concerned. It might be an unbelievable light, but you have no kelim to perceive it. So as far as you're concerned, it doesn't exist. It's total darkness. When a person has that ability in his mind, when you're well aware that you don't know diddly, you don't know anything. You can only get the light when you have that ability in your mind to hold back, to put together, to bridle, to stir, to harness. That you'll hold back your brain when your brain is surging forward, like a wild bronco, to find out new things. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be so exciting. Don't get to where you don't have permission to get into. It is dafka then that you can actually get b'chinas matei v'lo matei kanal. The important thing to get out of this particular limud is, I know it's not popular. I know it doesn't have chen. But it is through the weeding out of the myonis that you actually get the emes. This is Birur Ramadama, the Rebbe speaks in Terech Hafei, in all the Teres, and in the Sichas, the Rebbe says, that in Terech Hafei, the Rebbe says, Bechlal, you shouldn't call it Tzahar, you should call it Koich HaMadama. And in Breslov, so the Rebbe, it's okay. You have to get through the Madama. There's nothing what to do. And you imagine this, and you imagine that, and I had a dream, and as I remember that I told Reb Simcha, I saw the Rebbe in a dream. So Reb Simcha told me, no. You dreamt that you saw the Rebbe. It's you're saying basically the same thing, but you're saying two very, very, very different things. I saw the Rebbe in a dream is I saw the Rebbe.
It's like you really saw him.
I really saw him, and I'm in a level of I saw him in a dream, which is beyond my day. And it says no. You dreamt that you saw the Rebbe. It doesn't necessarily mean that it means nothing. It's just be aware of your limitations, of choser yediyah. This is the ma'akev. That's the pshat of the acquisition of the ma'akev. We'll do it again and again and again. Whenever it is that we add more yediyah, there's more deflation of it. Listen, I had this great chiddush. Listen to this. No, but then you come up with chidushim which are true, and then you realize that when the chiddush is true, it's worth a million chidushim which are not so true, which are true but are not so true. They say the Vilna Gaon held very, very highly, very, very highly from a sefer that was published during his days. Because it wasn't anything extraordinary, but it says, why do we start the tefillah in Shachris is in Odin Olam? Why is the first thing we say is Odin Olam? So we say Odin Olam, so we says that the Mishnah says the first avodah in the Beis HaMikdash, he says, He'iru Pnei HaMizrach. The watcher said the face of the east, have become lightened. The sun didn't come up yet, but the ofek, okay. B'kitzur, the first light comes and it says dafka. Why do you have to say laskir? To remind Yeshenei Chevron, the sleepers of Chevron, which is the Avos. Yeah. So since Avraham Avinu is the first one that called the Kadosh Baruch Hu Adon, he says, Yishma Adoni, the first one that says Adoni is the Kol HaKadosh Baruch Hu, my master. Adoni is Avraham Avinu. So the same way, so the Avodah Beis HaMikdash starts with your masker, the schus of Yeshenei Chevron. That's why we start the tefillah, which says Adon Olam, to remind the schus of Avraham Avinu, who's the first one that called the Kodesh Baruch Hu Adon. The Gro loved it. It's not, it's not a k'tzois, it's not a sivis, it's not, it's not a maram shif, it's not one of those really, supernatural intellect. It's just a simple vote, but it's true. Everything, the Rebbe says, everything depends on the level of truth in what you're saying.